Okay, welcome back to day 319. As you can see, I finally shaved my head. Dear God, it was way too long. Also, this is way too loud. Got my head shaved last night, thank God. But I went to get my MRI today, and they were like, it's gonna be 30 minutes to an hour, and I'm like, oh no. And they're like, are you sure you can be not moving for that long without taking meds? Because I didn't pick up my meds. Well, because they said, like, to come to the office. I'm like, I don't know where your office is. So I'm like, okay, whatever. It's fine. I was going to take just anxiety medicine, and then I didn't anyways. But I'm like, okay, well, what do I, like, okay, 30 minutes to an hour, got it. I show up and she goes, oh, no, it's going to be 7 minutes. I'm like, what happened to 30 minutes? She's like, it's fine. I'm like, okay. I could still wear my mask though, even so it had metal, but I made sure I had no piercings, and I had to change my pants because the zipper took my glasses off. Also my bra, which I always feel very judged because for some reason big boobs are sometimes viewed as like disheveled or not put together. And even though it's literally was 2 seconds of me walking to the machine, I'm just like, I don't know if other people feel the same, but it's one thing for me that I don't know why. It's something. It's really, really, really dumb, but it's for me or in general. Like, I was taught if you have large boobs, you don't wear a bra, you're not put together, and you're not presentable. So, no matter what, if I was sick, anything, it's like, no, like, to the point where my sibling and I used to make the joke, wonder if that still holds up, where we're like, if we're ready to go to the ambulance, or if we, are really hurt or really injured, put a bra on each other before calling the EMTs, the emergency number. And I'm just like, that's messed up. That's messed up. That's like the idea that your natural state is so. And again, it's not like, oh, I just prefer it, or it's like, I don't know. It's such a weird thing that it's like, it's not like indecent. It's not like put a shirt on me. It's put my boobs up in a bra. It's like people have the same thing where jokes of like, especially older women, where it's like, make sure no one sees me without my lipstick. If you need to call the ambulance, put on my lipstick. And it's like, what? And it's such a harmful idea. Anyways, got an MRI. She said it was fine. But I have this thing where when I lay in bed or lay still, my legs twitch. So she's like, okay, just make sure you don't twitch your legs. Me laying there. Because one time I was laying in my bed, and I lay on my stomach / side, and so at my knee, my legs one time just went whoop, and just like bent and then fell back down, and I don't know why. It just I just laying there. It's just an involuntary twitch, which really worried me. Actually, big scare earlier in my head this year was if I have Tourette's like my aunt. I never got it tested, never brought it up. Probably should. I think you can just get tested, and they will see. So I think I should mention it if I'm actually worried, but it isn't to the point of anything. Like my aunt, she just has a thing where her head goes like this. Sometimes it's her eye, just twitches. So yeah, it is what it is. But anyway, so I was scared I was gonna pitch too much. But I made it through it. Yay. She was a very, very sweet, helper person. But an old lady kept looking at me in the waiting room. And it kind of looked like she was going to try to say something, but then she didn't. And I'm just like, okay. So I just didn't say anything, but I should have said something. Because she just kept looking at me. But give it, I have the shaved head, which is, apparently more, I never think it's extreme. I never do. And then people say stuff, and I'm like, oh, it is extreme to people. Because one time, a bunch of ladies asked if they could, a bunch of, like, women at my university, when I shaved my head, asked if they could feel we knew each other, most of them, asked if they could feel it. And I'm like, yeah, and they're like, oh, it's like stubble. And I'm like, yeah, it's just like stubble. And then the funny part is a bunch of guys were like, can I feel your head too? But they didn't want to ask, because they perceived me, and I wasn't out as trans, so they perceived me as a woman, and they didn't want to be like, can I feel your head, and be weird about it. So I was like, I offered, and they're like, can I? I'm like, yeah. So a bunch of people were just touching my shaved head, and it hit me that none of them had a shaved head before, which is very funny to me. It's a little bug. It's a little moth. Yeah, I'm sitting here on the floor in front of me with a huge spider. Like, oh, how much? I don't know how much it is. It was a very, very hefty spider. It ran out of the corner, very meaty. Sometimes they're like thin and big, but it was meaty and big. And he turned the corner running, and he saw me, and I saw him, and he saw me, and he just looked at me, and I'm like, walk away. And he's like, no, like, just you can just walk away. And he's like, no. And I'm like, okay. So I was looking at him until finally I'm like texted my mom, because I couldn't get up because I didn't want him to feel threatened. I just texted my mom, and she got the little grabby thing and took him outside. Because I'm like, dude, just walk away. If he walked away, I wouldn't have done anything. I would just let him live out here, or in here, but now he's outside. It is so funny. Anyways, a different lady, when I was getting my syringes, complimented my hair, so there's that. But yeah, I really need to keep it up, cutting my hair, I think, bi-weekly. I know a guy, he puts products in his hair and keeps it a very much a thinner mohawk than I do. I have a pretty, like, wide one. He would shave his head weekly, so I'm like, I wish. So much work. But I really, really enjoy having no hair on the sides. Makes me feel nice. My siblings like, I have nightmares of my hair growing back. I'm like, so do I. So I need to figure out what to do about that. Anyways, thanks up a lot of roots though. My hair is, I guess it's not the flattest. I was gonna say pretty flat because I rinsed them off after I went to the doctor's. Because they're like, here's earbuds, okay, here's a headphone set, and then sit in the chair and stuff, and then sit in the actual MRI machine. And I felt it. There's no way to actually feel it, but I'm like, I feel the COVID, I feel the illnesses. They're like, no, you don't. It's like, yes, I do. In other news, what did I say last night I wanted to talk about? I don't know. But what happened was I was uploading yesterday's video, I saw a comment on the day before that video, and someone's like, what are you going to do after this is over? Since these are your, 47 or something? I don't know what day we're at. 47 more days. And I had to sit there and be like, what? The other was just going to make a joke, and I'm like, and then I also didn't know if I wanted to answer in a joke. I don't know if they were serious or not. And I'm like, what do I want to do? I definitely don't want to do this, and I do not want to watch this anymore. But I liked this. I actually kind of really did. And I think it was very nice to see the progress of me on testosterone and going through all this and going through everyday life and kind of marking it down. Even insignificant moments I would talk about where it might not have been significant enough if I even did write a journal or something. It's like, oh, well, who cares about this? But doing this, it was very, very nice. The difference is the journal is private, this isn't. But anyways, what happened is, it just made me think, and I want to, part of me just wants to go to bed earlier, part of me just wants to read my books, my 3 books I'm reading over here. Part of me just wants to watch TV, or like me watching stuff, but I kind of already can't do that because I can be on the computer when uploading and doing the things. But so I mentioned, that kind of just sleeping, but then I also was serious and said, well, I actually really want to start getting back into hobbies, even though I'm not good at knitting. I really like making stuff, I think, and trying other hobbies that I may not be good at, but I want to try it. And if I don't realize I don't love it, I'll just not do it. There's no failure at trying and realizing you're not in love with the thing. And I think I really needed to. Oh, it's gone. The bug's gone. Look at that. There's no problem in that. And so I think that's a pretty big thing for me. And I want to start doing stuff, going to groups and doing stuff, going to classes. That's not like serious classes, but going to classes or going to like everyone you ever talk to saying, oh, I want to start knitting or I want to start crocheting. Everyone always says, don't go to like Michael's or Giant's. Go to a local yarn shop, and they will have sometimes weekly, circles where they will just sit and you just make stuff. And if you have a question, you have a whole group, a room full of people to answer your question. And it's just, yeah. And I think that would be so nice. And then having, I don't know, just all of that would be, oh my god, it's my birthday. Yay. Anyways, I didn't realize, but yeah, so, I don't, okay, sorry, I realized since it was my birthday, I didn't have a caption for coming out to all the old people, on my old Facebook, so, I need to do that. My sibling just texted back, but I will get back to them in a few minutes. Well, fine. Okay. Yeah, so what I wanted to say is, moving on, kind of related, kind of not. I've been watching what is it, season 3? Season 3 of, Sex Education, which as a show, it's not like, yes, but it's like, I put it on, like, I don't know if I would rewatch it for me, but it isn't like a bad show. I like watching it, but I don't know if I'd go back and watch it, you know? And I'm not like, yes, this. Personally, my favorite character is Adam. I think they do villains and heroes are done very well. Like, especially in this season, they really show Adam's father and Adam and Hope in a very nice way. And I know people had a problem with Adam and Eric because Adam used to be a bully, especially to Eric. And yeah, I see those complaints. I absolutely love that whole thing. I love it. I think they do that very well. I relate to Adam a lot with some things, like just yeah. But anyways, the point was that in this particular season, spoilers, there are two non-binary people. The more main character non-binary person, they are shown when they have to change their shirt in a red binder. And it actually really oh, sorry, let me start over. When you first meet them, they say, hey, whatever, red, like, go ahead, you nice person, or whatever. And I'm like, ooh, what I found, like, the very first sentence they ever said, I'm like, what I learned, they're non-binary, or trans in some way, but I would assume non-binary because of person, and it's going to be cringy, and it's not going to be good. And when the scene where they're forced into being in particular school uniforms, it was really well done. The changing scene of how it felt too tight and it felt this, and I think they probably did give a slightly too small a size for the actor. I don't know what the actor identifies as, so I'm going to be saying actor, and they, them for everyone. But that scene really, it was actually really good, and I was like, oh, okay. So then I start this, the latest episode I'm watching right before doing this, and because I'm like, they also have a binder. Like, usually they go for like ace tape or not a healthy way of binding, instead of binding tape even. But having a binder on this character is so good. And then start this one, and it opens up with the other non-binary person putting on ace tape. So I'm like, so I'll maybe talk about that later in a future video. But I'm like, but I really like the non-binary character. I think I think they're done so well. I really thought it was going to be cringy or bad, or not saying things that shouldn't be said, but saying things so, like, and not in a bad way, but like somebody saying, hey, you should do it this way, and then the writers are like, or like hearing like, hey, I got this complaint, or this happens with me, and then they're like repeating it back, but you can feel that they're not feeling it. And it's really odd, like, because some people really do try, and they can't write a good non-binary or trans character because they don't quite understand. Personally, when I first heard about being trans, I literally said, oh, I don't understand that, and I could never imagine feeling that way. And then when I was later, like, I'm like, you know what, actually, I like identifying as blank, I like this, blah, blah, and then I'm like, oh, wait, I do recognize everything that I said previously didn't make any sense to me, and it all did. It was a weird, backwards understanding things. I had to figure myself out, and then everything that people told me about being trans clicked, and I'm like, yes. So anyway, I want to know how this other non-binary character goes, like how the story progresses. But I'm actually really, really happily surprised by the other non-binary character. I think it's done like really well so far with their character, and I'm actually kind of surprised that I saw a few other things talked about, but I didn't see people talking about this character. And unless something happens, I'm gonna don't want to talk about it because I'm not done with it. But I'm actually pleasantly surprised. Personally, I would do the opposite of what they do. They just go, no, screw you, I'm not gonna follow your rules. But for me, civil disobedience is great. It gets things done. It's a really good way of being like, I'm the bigger person here, and you're telling me I shouldn't be doing this, even though I'm not causing any scenes, but you are now. I'm the opposite. I will follow the rules to the T. But it will be so uncivil. I will find every rule that I can exploit. I will be splitting each hair. So that's where me and this character diverge. But and then when the headmaster, I think she called herself head person, which I'm like, I guess, but to say headmaster, where the headmaster of the school said, yeah, you can wear pants, I'm a feminist. Ooh. Yes, that was such a clean line, because that showed that the headmaster viewed the non-binary person as a woman wearing pants and a woman that's trying to be masculine versus a non-binary person. And it was so good. Loved that line. It's so good at showing little things, because she did the headmaster, she did the same thing with thinking the white guy was the head boy, and then it was actually the black guy, and you can see it was like a little bit of a you can kind of read where her head's at. So having her say those little lines, you're like, you can feel where she's at with like her judgments, her thoughts, really well. I think it's really well done with that feminist line. Really got me. I was like, ooh, okay, you know what? Okay, I see you.